Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about the societal perception of neurodiversity, how society perceives us neurodivergent people, and the struggles associated with it. So, the most important thing is that the main thing that people think about neurodiversity is that it is some form of illness, disorder, or some kind of deformity in the structure or the neural pathways of the brain. They see it as a form of disease when the truth is it's actually how your brain is actually wired. So that is partially true and partially false. IT, what happens is a person with any kind of neurodivergency or neurodiversity issues feels discriminated and he is not being able to relate with other people. He is not being able to perform well, especially in schools. We all have been there. And one of the things which has to be understood that we have always masked it, right? Always tried to fit in because there was no other option of changing the environment, right? Now, changing the environment has its own problems where, you change the environment, you label people as special people, you label them as special, and they are stigmatized instead of being supported and respect and care for, right? Today, we understand that if somebody has some form of cancer, he is suffering in his life. We try to empathize with that person, we try to support that person. But there is extremely less knowledge, awareness about neurodivergent people in the society, and that creates non understandability. But let's say, in a place like India, right, or neighboring countries, who do you think actually have the knowledge of neurodivergency? Very, very less people. Definitely the doctors. The doctors have it. And I will say, even some doctors who actually studied psychology, their way of studying it or whatever they have studied is outdated and they haven't updated themselves because psychology is a very new field. We do not, the researches are being conducted and new things are being published. We still do not understand fully how the brain works, right? In today's generations, we are more focused on artificial intelligence. We understand more about artificial intelligence. We study more about artificial intelligence, but we know barely of our real, original human intelligence, I will say. So, what happens? They expect us to behave in a certain way. But because of the different in the neural pathways of our brain, we are not being able to behave that way. What do we need is a change in the environment to create a non traumatizing, stigma free environment. And if that is created, maybe we can suppress the negative aspects of these issues and the other aspects of our brain which work properly and function well. They have the strengths. You can amplify the strengths. ADHD comes with hyper focus, right? You can focus on things for very long periods of time. A lot of people have uh, misconception that ADHD is about attention deficit. So there is a problem with paying attention, which is partially true. But if you ask me, it's more about switching between attention because there is hyperfocus. So what happens? You're focusing on a task. You're fully focused on that task. You like that task. You get immersed in it. Trust me, you get immersed in that task. And then it becomes difficult for you to come out of that task. And sometimes what happens when you switch the task or you do multitasking, you're not being able to do anything at all. Right. And even to begin with something, if you have to pay attention to one thing, even it takes a lot of time, probably an hour or two of doing the thing again and again to actually focus on the thing. So many people with ADHD, I will say, are better at reading stuff because when you're reading, you can read, like skim read it, and your attention will come. If you read it for an hour, your attention will come, right? But if you're doing some kind of mathematical calculations or something like that, it will be very difficult for you to bring that attention. First of all, bring that attention because retaining attention is not something which is a much problem in ADHD. Another thing that is how we have to understand is people often stigmatize us. They act differently towards us. Okay, we are often seen as lazy. We're often seen as not working hard. Imagine being traumatized due to things that happen normally, which are normal for others. You're getting traumatized for those things daily, every second of your life, you're getting PTSD from something. And how do you expect to have a decent mental health? Your mental health declines. And now you already know that your brain is inherently not wired initially for the task. The task becomes even more difficult for you to do, right? You lose interest, you become unmotivated, and you don't do the work, right? And the main problem is maybe probably due to your inferior dopaminergic system. But people have to understand that if we actually provide uh, ideal environment that is required in these cases, we can suppress those negative things. We can amplify the strengths of these issues and conditions, and we can create a rehabilitated environment so that these people can work better. And it's not some kind of deformity always. It's not some kind of inferiority always, because there are a lot of people, and I believe that if you actually suppress the negative parts of the brain, say negative parts of these conditions, the parts which actually are normal, you can actually compete as good, even better than most neurotypical people. But unfortunately, what has happened or have been happening is for years, we have been stigmatized. So we grow up with a very poor mental health. And when you have basically a poor mental health, you'll struggle getting a job, finding a living. You'll have an unhappy life. You might wonder that why a lot of people are driving taxis in our country. A lot of people are unemployed. A lot of people are beggars on the street. I don't know if a research has been conducted on this or not, but maybe someone should conduct a research on this. And I can tell you that most of these people who are unemployed, who you consider as inferior from the previous generation, when there was nothing, no awareness about mental health, no awareness about neurodivergency, neurodiversity. Today we have so many research papers available freely on the internet. We still have stigma against neurodivergent people. Imagine during that time, right? And the thing is, a lot of people, I mean, if you really talk to your elders, and you will commonly hear it, they say that in our times, this was not a thing. You know why? Because you always ignored the people who were inferior. You always had to believe that some people were made inferior. You felt superior. You felt better about yourself, and you do not want to deny it. Well, that is a different thing, and we're going to talk in detail about it someday. But what I have to say here is I want to give another message and want to make it very clear that it has always been there. The thing is, all those people who never understood what actually happened with them, they could do nothing in their lives. They never got the support, and no environment, no ideal environment were created for them. Even in today's scenario, we're just thinking about ideal scenarios, and no ideal scenarios is being created. Leave India, even in Western countries, developed countries, so-called developed countries, we still are stigmatized. There is still stigma over there, but the condition is much better over there than up here. According to me, I think everybody is a human being, right? We are the same species. If we are from the same species, we are taking birth, we learn to walk. Why do we learn to walk? We do not have any kind of trauma. We do not have any kind of things. We are instinctively made to walk, right? But every one of us tries to get up and walk those steps. We try, we fail. Some people do it early, some people do it late, right? Now, we all learn to walk, right? Unless we have an extrinsic different kind of dedicated disability, that is a different thing. But if you do not have legs, how could you walk, right? But all those with normal body, they always walked, right? Even neurodivergent people and neurotypical people, every one of them learned to walk. They tried again and again. So when they could learn to walk, what caused them to stop learning and going ahead in life? Because everybody tries to learn. Their experience might not be so good, right? And due to their environment, due to their brain structure, their neural pathways, the combination of all these factors causes them to be demotivated in life and not do good in their lives. For you to come up and say that people are inferior, I think that is a very wrong way to live life. I think, our life has become like that. Our life is all about ego. Who is better than whom? Who is winning? Who is being at the top? I am superior. You're poorer. You're beggar on the street. I wonder how people not question it. Like, there is so much difference between certain people, and there is so much of contrast between the two sections of society in a place like India. Some people are like beggars on the street. Some people are extremely rich. I mean, I understand there is an instinct to do those things, but I think we are conscious enough in today's world, and we think we should understand these things, and we should learn how to close the gap between the rich and the poor, close the gap between the inferior and the superior. I think we all can live together, and that is humanity, and we can progress together. Because, even people like Albert Einstein said that everybody is a born genius, but if you judge a fish's ability to climb a tree, the fish will think his entire life that he's a fool. And he's absolutely correct, because everybody has their strengths in some forms, everybody has their weaknesses in some form. And if we actually try to suppress the weaknesses and amplify the strengths, it also depends on the environment. the person, the people who find the right and ideal environment according to their needs. If a fish finds himself lucky to live in the water, he will be the conqueror. If unfortunately he is on the land, he will die. He will not be able to survive. And that is what is happening with humans. I think this is a strong message. This is something which I wanted to say. Um, and I understand that maybe these videos are not very well structured. Another thing is, I'm pretty sure that nobody's going to watch this video, but I'm pretty sure if I am consistent, I know I'm not being consistent, but if I am being consistent every day, I will learn something. And every day I will have 1% or at least a little bit of improvement. That is better than no improvement. And I'm pretty sure in some time, someday, I will be up there where I will actually be able to deliver quality content. I have the ability to do it. I'm just some kind of lost. I've lost my confidence, and I think I can back it up, and I can really do good. So keep it up till here, and yeah, that is it. Good night. I will come up with another video, and I'll try to improve my video and bring new innovative things, and that will make my content much valuable for you and the neurodivergent people. And yeah, that is it. Good night, goodbye, and stay well.